Hello, I'm going to call the regular City of Prescott Council meeting to order. Roll call, Mike.
Here.
Maureen. Here. Adam.
Here.
Dar.
Here.
And then Mayor Daughtry and Ben are excused. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So at this time, we will take public comments on any items on the agenda. Limited discussion may take place. Hearing none, we will go to the consent agenda. The Planning Commission minutes from June 2nd, Personnel Committee minutes from June 4th, the City Council meeting minutes from June 9th, Parks and Public Works Committee meeting minutes from June 16th, special event permit for August 17th, special event permit for August 22nd, and then approval of amplifier permit applications A through E, and approval of sidewalk cafe applications A through E.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda 1 through 8.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
So the next thing is public hearing on the liquor license application and fermented malt beverage applications for July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Okay. Need a motion to open the public hearing,
Motion to go into public hearing.
And a second.
and then I'll need a roll call. Dar,
Here.
Adam,
Aye.
Aye.
Maureen,
Here, aye.
Mike.
Aye.
We are in public hearing.
I have to find my memo, hang on. Okay, so just in a review, being it's 2025, an odd year, that's when all of the operators' licenses are due for renewal. We've received and approved 124 operators' licenses, 34 of them being new applications for bartenders within the city of Prescott. We've had the 5 businesses for the amplifier permit applications and 5 for the sidewalk cafe applications, which you just approved in the consent agenda. And let's see, attached to the memo that you have in your packet is all of the liquor license applications that have been applied for fermented malt beverage and hard liquor. So if you have any questions on any of those, if you've reviewed them. And I guess it's been a good couple years since we have had a discussion on the open liquor license from the Steamboat Inlet. And with our increase in population to above 4,500, we now have a reserve license available. And I would like some discussion on that, and hopefully we can send that to the Health and Safety Committee for review and whatever their application process might be in order to issue those licenses, so that the establishments can make some money and the city can make some money on those instead of just sitting on them. So if anybody has any questions,
Do
we'll
we
open that up
have
to.
people wanting that license?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I know. I mean, have we had people to apply for it, and who?
Well, in the past, before our tenure here, they would ask that anybody interested in these licenses issue a $10,000 check for the city to hold for either, previously it was known as the License Committee, but now it's the Health and Safety Committee to issue those licenses. Well, they never were issued, so we would end up just voiding the checks. At this point, there's no sense in us obtaining a $10,000 check until we know what we're gonna do with these 2 licenses and how to move forward with them. So I do have a list of the establishments that are looking for them. So I guess if there's, I would like to see the Health and Safety Committee revisit this so that we can get these out.
100%.
So,
So I'd like to move forward, and we should have a discussion if, we've got now one available. The second one is the old steamboat.
yes, so the old
Property.
Steamboat property lot, we believe to be an original liquor license. So that would just be the $500 issuance. The new one with the increase in population, that is going to be what is called a reserve license, and we can charge about $10,000 for the issuance of that license.
But the one at Steamboat, it would have to stay in the, on the land?
No,
Nope.
Okay.
no, it's
I just
now,
wondered why
And
we have to give it only a $500 instead of.
because it's an original license,
I'm not saying-
but prior to 1997.
Okay, but I just
So-
thought the new person would pay the same amount as anybody else.
Unfortunately, there's two different types of
Yeah.
licenses. There's pre-1997, which Rochelle just mentioned. Those are the
Mhm.
regular licenses we've always had. We can charge only up to 500.
Oh, we
And
can
everything
only-
post-97 is called a liquor license
Reserve.
reserve. And that's the one that you have to charge, I think, a minimum of $10,000.
Okay.
So if there was another establishment that actually had a reserve license that rescinded it, we can actually charge the next establishment who applies for it the $10,000 as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we want to make both of those available, correct?
That's,
I think we need to discuss it,
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm
that's the
really,
general idea, but they have to go through committee first.
and then
Yeah.
you'll probably go back to council.
Yeah, we had held the one because somebody was always going to develop that lot down at,
remember that.
yeah, the
Yes.
empty lot.
What is it, about 15 years now?
Yeah.
Oh, my
I think the jig is
Or is it
up.
more than that? I don't know.
No, I think
It's been a long
I think
time.
at this
it's
point,
been
I
a
think so,
long
too.
time.
Yes.
So we just got an increase in we got one because our population increased then?
as of the census that we received in,
2024, I think.
I
2024
didn't
we
think we were
did.
going to see
Yeah.
that for
No,
a
for a
long
while.
time, so.
Yeah, okay, good.
the property that used to be Lucille's, did that have a liquor license? And
he
is that
does,
still-
he is in, so he has filed the application that's in your packet, well, it's in the publication notice in your packet.
Right.
So he applied for it last year when he took over Lucille's. Kim had rescinded her license and he applied for it.
Got it,
And
okay.
so we issued that initially to him last year. And now he has applied again. He does intend to open. It's just going to be a little longer than expected.
Sure.
Do you know when he intends to open?
He has
now?
not given me a date yet.
Oh, okay.
How many people are interested in those?
I would say about, well, ironically, I just received a call about 2 weeks ago from a random person. I don't know what his involvement is, asking if we had an open liquor license. So that would be number 5 or 6 that are interested.
What do other cities usually do when there are multiple people interested? Like a lottery?
It's a good question. We're going to have to figure that out.
That's what we're going to have to probably discuss.
Because that's
Do
the
a
other
bidding
hard
war.
thing. That's the other hard thing with
Good
the
idea.
two prices as
Who
well.
wants it the most?
Yeah, 20, 30,000. Okay,
Do you need a motion or anything, or?
No, we'll plan on bringing it. The
Okay.
two licenses discussion, we'll plan on bringing to Health and Safety Committee. I think just the only thing we need is just allow for public comment. I don't think Jerry's here for
Liquor licenses.
liquor license
How
discussion.
come Jerry?
okay. Might as well be sixth or seventh one.
I do need an action on the liquor license applications and fermented malt beverage applications, correct?
First,
Roll call.
close the public hearing.
Oh, okay, sounds good. I need a
I-
motion to close.
I would like to close the public hearing.
And I'll second that motion.
And roll call, Dar,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
And we are out of public hearing. So look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license applications and fermented malt beverage applications for July 1st, as listed in the packet, July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026.
And I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any comment on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the next is reports of standing committees and commissions. Finance Committee, nothing. Planning Commission, the next meeting is Monday, July 7th at 6 p.m. Parks and Public Works Committee report from Monday, June 16th. Matt?
So the tree removal we talked about a number of items. Tree removal by Rivertown Tree Service is the next item on your agenda, as well as the alley vacation request is also on the agenda for tonight. The other thing we discussed is establishing a bench dedication program, specifically coming up with the criteria and an application that can be posted online. If you remember, we've done this a couple times, that we've approved dedications for our first phase of our riverfront project, and then additionally, there were 2 dedications that came forward for the Public Square Park that we approved. So rather than just doing them on as they come up basis, actually having set criteria will also help with staff and people who are interested, so they can see right away and then we don't have to process every single one going through, as long as you approve the criteria for what they're dedicated and where they can be dedicated. So staff is working on that, and then we talked about, we've had multiple discussions about establishing a tree, either kind of like adopt a tree or tree donation programs, especially for those streets that have either had just been redone, or specifically that have had one of the numerous dead ash trees that we have in the community, where they could have a replacement. The city would pay for the tree, as long as those individuals who want to agree to water it and somewhat maintain it. Obviously, we'd still be in charge of removing it if it died or had other major issues. So we're working on that and trying to evaluate a budget and what that would be, what kind of implication that would be if we try to establish something for 2026. So other than that, I'll turn it over to the council if you have questions or comments.
The next meeting is Monday, July 21st at 5 p.m. Health and Safety meeting, the next meeting is Monday, July 14th at 5 p.m. And then Personnel Committee, the next meeting is Wednesday, July 30th at 5 p.m. and Wednesday, August 6th at 5 p.m. So communications and new business. So public comments, the city council will receive public comments on any issues not related to the agenda items. Limited discussion by the city council may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item. This includes receiving written requests or documentation and possible action at a future meeting. Hearing none, we will go to Resolution 3625, approving the removal of 19 dead ash trees by Rivertown Tree Service in the amount of $22,900. Matthew?
Thank you, Lindsay. So before you tonight, we talked at our Parks and Public Works Committee. There are 19 trees that unfortunately are either too large for our Public Works Department to take down, or they're located too close to buildings or overhanging them, where we don't have the proper equipment to do so. So we're looking to have Rivertown Tree Service remove those in 2025. So far, we've paid Rivertown Tree Service to remove 10 other trees at a cost of $11,600. We did have the funds within our budget for that. However, at this point now, we do not, our funds or within our budget have been exhausted. So what we're looking to do is, our capital fund to date has earned $31,576 in interest income. As a result, we talked to the Parks and Public Works Committee about using those funds to pay for this work, and they agreed and moved it, or motioned it and moved it forward to council for consideration. So if it is approved tonight, that $31,576 out of capital fund would pay for this work to remove these 19 trees. There is a map of the location then of where all these trees are within the community. So I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
Well, I'll make a motion for Resolution 36-25, approval to remove 19 dead ash trees by Rivertown Tree Service at the amount of $22,900.
22. 2625.
No, I said the amount of money. I already said that.
But,
36.25.
yeah, but you said the wrong. Oh, yours does have 36. Mine says 26. Is it resolution 2625 or 3625?
3625.
Okay. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just that it would be taken out of the capital fund. That's the difference.
All right, I need a roll call. Dar?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Next is Resolution 3725, establishing parking restrictions and striping on Henry Street. Matt?
Sorry, I don't know if we got your vote on the last vote.
Me?
Yeah,
Aye.
okay. Sorry.
All
All right.
Forgot.
We still have to vote.
Okay.
So we brought up to Health and Safety Committee, one of the issues that we're running into as Henry Street has become more developed and we've had more successful businesses on it, specifically both Quick Trip and Bodie Studios. In combination with those businesses and then parking related to the softball fields, it's become a safety issue along that street. Unfortunately, for a proper street to have both drive lanes and two lanes of parking on each side, we need about at least a 36-foot wide street to have 8 2-foot parking and 2 10-foot drive lanes. Unfortunately, we only have about 34 feet, and that's when you count the concrete gutter pan. So as a result, we've talked to the committee, Health Safety Committee, asked them to consider two things. First would be prohibit parking on the north side of Henry Street. This would eliminate some of the congestion, or would eliminate all the congestion during peak periods on that side of the street. And then the second item would be to stripe the street. That would allow for more traffic flow, easier so people stay in their lanes, and would also support enforcement and planning. So the committee recommended moving forward with these two items. I don't know if Eric has anything else. He was part of the discussion as well and is supportive of it. Otherwise, Cedar Corporation has put together a Henry Street exhibit so you guys can see exactly the way it would be striped and painted. If approved tonight, we'd move forward with putting in those signs and sending out a letter to the businesses along Henry Street to notify them, and then putting in, or then striping as shown on that exhibit. So I'll turn it over for council comments or questions.
This is good, because that street does become a mess sometimes,
Yes.
especially on weekends.
The only, I'm for doing the thing except for marking out the parking spots, because that, I want to say right where that first apartment building is, the rest of the street is pretty much junk. I hate to do something twice. You know, put the yellow line in the middle, put your signs in, all that kind of stuff, but individual parking deals, you know, I don't know what it would cost to keep on marking out the parking spots, but that road is pretty much junk going towards the east side of Quick Trip, right up in here.
Oh,
From about the first one on, it just seems like it's kind of a waste of money.
Are you talking about if we need to
You know,
resurface the road?
Yeah, the road's gonna have to be resurfaced, I would say fairly soon.
We could just have the yellow line go up to where the parking starts or stop, I guess, depending.
Well, that's what I was thinking, instead of doing it all and just wasting, because it costs so much a foot, I'm sure. But I don't know, am I overthinking it for a few $100s?
No, I think if we stopped it right where the parking, you're talking about the east side of Henry Street. I guess I know what you mean, because when Quick Trip went in, they tore up the road and then they redid Henry
Yeah,
Street just
they did it
past
just
where
up
they
to
were.
the edge of their driveway, and then the rest of it's junk.
Yeah. So we could paint just up to the last parking spot and then leave the yellow line off until we redo
Yeah.
this section of road, most likely with the Orange Street project next year, and then paint the rest of it then.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
I like the
with that.
parking strips though, because then
Oh yeah, I'm
there's no
not, like I said, I'm not
questions.
against that, I just hate doing it twice.
No, yeah, I hear that, yep.
So with the idea of stopping where the road, the good part of the road ends, I'll make a resolution for 37, or a motion for resolution 3725, establishing parking restrictions and striping on Henry Street.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next is approval of an agreement with Computer Integration Technologies for the furnishment, installation, and setup of security systems as part of the Riverfront Phase 2 project, including structured cable, access control, and surveillance for $28,041. Pat?
Thank you, Council President. So before you tonight is that item from Computer Integration Technologies. What this consists of is 4 security cameras, 3 card readers, 1 4-door controller, 1 backup battery, and then the cabling for all these devices. The full layout is attached. What this will allow us to do is a number of items. First, we'll be able to put the automated or restroom access on automated or establish automation for those doors, similar to what we do at the Prescott Beach. This way, we're not having staff going down there and unlocking in the morning and then required to lock them specifically. One of the things that was causing the issue is the police department has all sorts of other things they're trying to do, so to try to have them to remember to lock up bathroom doors, not really one of the high things on the priority list. Additionally, we have illegal dumping that constantly occurs at the garbage area down there, so we'll have that over on a camera so we can monitor that, and if we do have it, we can hopefully catch them. We also have a lot of people who claim that when they use the boat launch, it's either not working, so when they get a ticket, that's their go-to. So it'll allow us to monitor some of that and either confirm or deny that. And then we also will have a camera, the one that's going to be more in the parking lot, will be able to monitor the boat dock itself. We've had a number of times where we've had people call in and claim that we've had people running into like the white bumper, specifically tearing it off and seeing how that's being done, so we can monitor that as well. So with that, if this is approved, it would still leave about $76,547 in the contingencies funds. The one item we are still working on is the potential pedestrian railroad crossing that is still going through the state of Wisconsin for review and approval. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments or questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Computer Integration Technologies for the furnishment, installation, and setup of security systems as part of our Riverfront Phase 2 project, including structured cable, access control, and surveillance in the amount of $28,000, $28,041.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next is the approval of the maintenance agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for St. Croix River Bridge project. Matt?
So back in 1990, we signed an agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation to maintain the stairway, sidewalks, and adjacent railing, path, lighting, flagpole signs, and the lawn care. Basically, the Wisconsin DOT is looking at a future project for 2030 or 2031 with the Minnesota Department of Transportation to do bridge work. As part of that project, they're going to be upgrading or redoing the retaining wall that's slowly been degrading due to really mainly salt that's been hitting it, and water overall. So as part of that, they always require a fresh maintenance agreement, so that is what's before you tonight. Unlike the last maintenance agreement we had for Highway 10 and Highway 29, where that one was new to us, that one was not something we had signed. This one is already signed and was done in 1990. So basically, we're just updating that agreement as part of this project for 2030, 2031.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the maintenance agreement with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for the St. Croix River Bridge project.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
How much is it gonna cost us?
For this project, nothing.
Oh,
At
I
least they
like
have
that.
not submitted.
Say that again.
They have not submitted a
Never
financial.
heard that before.
The last ones where it does cost us, they will submit a financial agreement. We haven't received anything, and those usually come in together, so there is no cost for them.
I have a question about the the emergency access to the, that's supposed to be under the bridge work there.
Yep.
Is that getting redone as a part of Phase 1 in the Riverfront project?
Well, we did do some of those upgrades as part of Phase 1. We put the bollards, the emergency access bollards, so people couldn't just use it as a shortcut when they just didn't want to wait for a train. It's still available for emergency access, but there's no other additional work as part of that. We repaved it as part of the first phase
Okay.
as well.
All right, I just wondered about that. I hadn't heard if we'd done anything that I recall.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next is Resolution 3825, initiating the vacation of the unimproved alley in the city of Prescott, Wisconsin. Matt?
Thank you. So we received a request from the owner of 170 Young Street, and Jerry's here tonight, who was the requester. We talked about this committee. There are a couple options that we could take, but we ultimately decided we want to move forward as a city-initiated vacation. You can see in the packet tonight, there is a map that kind of shows the current status of all of our right-of-ways as it relates to alleyways and a couple that are non-improved streets, or I guess just one non-improved street. So these, I think there's about 13 altogether that exist within the community that basically, for whatever reason, most likely some requirement that we had when these were platted back in 40s, 50s, or whenever they were platted, maybe even earlier than that,
I think 1800s.
or 1800s, required
I saw the plat.
an alley be put in. So they've never been upgraded or maintained, and they are maintained, I should say, by the property owner. So basically, the process tonight would start that Class 3 notice would have to be issued if this was approved, and we'd have to serve the property owners that abut the alleyway, notifying them of our hearing that would be held on, sorry, I have to look that up, July 28th at 6 p.m. We'd have a public hearing, basically, and give them the opportunity to come to speak. And then after that, if it was approved, ultimately, it would go to the Pierce County Register of Deeds, and we'd have to file a lis pendens for those property owners with the vacation. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions. I don't know if, Jerry, you wanted to say anything, or?
Alley
has never been improved.
Will you come up to the podium, please?
Before she got to speak, you
Sorry.
got to speak in the
Sorry.
microphone.
We tricked them.
You gotta get gotta get those steps in, yeah.
Well, we got an alley behind our house. It's not been improved, and homeowners take care of it. Wondering if you would give it to the homeowners. Do you know how wide that alley is? Roughly?
Roughly 12 feet.
About 12? Okay.
I thought that's what it says.
Yeah, it said someplace, I thought it was 12 feet.
Yep,
So you get an extra 6 feet by whatever.
right. Yep. And then that would, if I put up a building down the road, that would give me 6 extra feet for a setback, I think.
Yep.
So, okay.
I think it's 15 feet.
Is
So
it
you get
15?
7.5, each property would get 7.5 feet of additional if it was vacated.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay,
So you can get a little bit more.
yeah. Get a little more room.
Thank you.
you know, I noticed on the other map that you have here, how many non-improved alleyways there are in the city.
Didn't you say 13 last time?
Yeah, I counted once, I believe it's 13.
Geez, that's just, I'm surprised more people don't ask for that.
Might start a trend.
Yeah, we
you might.
discussed
They
it,
may not have
and they
known
can
they
follow
could
the same
even.
protocol, and we can,
Well, like mine's
through the same
unapproved,
process.
but it runs right into the last neighbor.
Oh. Well, that's interesting. They must have thought they needed alleys at one time.
Do I need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 3825, initiating the vacation of an unimproved alley in the city of Prescott, Wisconsin.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Matt, would that mean, say we approve his, is that gonna be just his, or is it gonna be everybody's?
So this process would initiate that whole alley vacation on that block,
Just
36.
that block.
So
Okay, I was
all,
just curious if he,
I think 7 property owners that are abutting that would all have that alley vacated. It wouldn't vacate all of the unimproved alleys within the city.
okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, next is the approval for Police Commission of Dave Hovel.
I'll make a motion to approve Dave Hovel to the Police Commission.
And I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anything for other business?
Just two quick things. July 7th is the date that the Riverfront project is going to start with the construction. So we'll be releasing something on our Facebook and our website. Also, Cedar Corporation will be delivering letters to those who are along in the construction area. Additionally, we finally did get our pickleball courts resurfaced, so they should have the nets up today, I believe. Public Works, Mike said he was gonna get it done. So those should be up, and then with that being done next week, we'll start removing the old tennis courts and ripping them up and getting them done. Unfortunately, due to Monarch Paving's pavement schedule and the fact that we have to have a 30-day rest period from when the pavement goes down to when we can resurface those and install the nets, it's looking at, we'll probably not get those courts up and running until the end of September this year.
Any other business?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Good job.
Nice job, Lindsay.
Very good. Very, very.